my name is Amani Manning, and today I'll be telling you about my project, which is called Painting Time. Before I start, I'd like to give thanks to my teacher, Miss Karen Schultz, for helping provide the grounds for this project, my mom, Nicole Lopez, for helping provide all the materials, Mr. Leo Burchardi for helping with all the formatting, and Mr. E for helping with all the printing out on my board. My purpose of this was to see if oil paints and acrylic paints were the same. A lot of people have been giving oil paints like the lesser name, and a lot of people have been saying that oil paints are better, so I really wanted to test that out. Before I actually started, I had to do background research, and with that I found that color is not actually in an object, it's like reflecting around an object. And this was discovered by Isaac Newton. In your eyes, there are millions of little light molecules that help you see, and that's how you see color and everything else. I also learned that oil paints and acrylic paints are made completely differently. Oil paints are made from oil and linseed oil and pigment just put into a big grinder and then mashed up, and that makes it basically everything. Acrylic paint is made from water, binders, and pigments, which make its consistency. A lot of people have chosen to use oil paints because they last longer and they're better for like more detailed paintings. Like there's paintings from all the way from the 1600s that still are lasting today, still hung up proudly. And yeah, my hypothesis was that acrylic paints would be exactly the same because they both do the same thing. My variables were, my manipulative variable was the brand and the name and the type of paint. My corresponding variable was the way acrylic paint thins out, blends, and is wet and dry. My control variable was the size of the brush, the canvas, and the way that the paint thinner and water were mixed together. My data was that I was actually kind of wrong because I thought that oil paints and acrylic paints would be exactly the same. But in this picture, this is the first day. It was December 9th, 2019. And basically, at first, both the oil paints and acrylic paints did look similar. They looked really good. And then once we got up to here, the colors kind of faded out a little bit. So it was darker in the beginning, and then it faded out at the end. So I didn't think that would happen. Blendability was kind of like, I had to give that to oil paints because I could still kind of see the way, the pace that the acrylic paints started and they stopped. But with oil paints, it was just a seamless blend through the whole thing. But for thinning out, it was the same. It was just there. And then something that I realized was that this took a long time because oil paints actually took 12 days to dry completely. Acrylic paints took 30 minutes. And since I knew that, I was like, okay then, that's pretty good. And so with that, I kind of noticed that if you really wanted like a really detailed, a really high definition painting, you would use oil paints because their color doesn't fade out, it doesn't do anything, it just stays that color through the whole process. But if you want like a little quick painting that with a little bit of detail but not too much detail, you would use acrylic paints. Some errors that may have happened in this was that when I was thinning it out, I did the oil paints first, and so it was beading on top of the acrylic paints since the oil paint needs it, but the acrylic doesn't because it's just water. And so with that, and for the red, I also kind of messed up because I used the purple and red, and those are on the opposite side of the color wheel, and so that kind of messed it up, but the other two were fine. And then my last error was that the drying time, I didn't have a certain place where it dried, so that may have affected it. It didn't have a lot of air ventilation. So it could have been shorter, it could have been longer. That might have been a little problem. But in conclusion, I would say use oil paints for high definition and really beautiful paintings that you want to last the whole whatever. And then for acrylic paints, just use it for small little doodles or just paintings that you just want to do for that moment. And yeah, that's my project.